So this is a very interesting story in regards to the fact that today, yesterday, Trump officially signed the executive order labeling Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization. Now, according to Google's TOS and Facebook's TOS and even X's TOS, you cannot post terroristic things on their platforms. That's why ISIS can't post on YouTube and other things like that. That's why they were able to get YouTubers banned, because the DOJ labeled anybody white and Christian, as Catholic Preppers Unite is saying in our chat. They were banned, right? They were banned on all these platforms. So will YouTube, will X, and will these other social media companies that have been cozying up to Trump, right? We've seen these dinners where Bill Gates there and Mark Zuckerberg's there. They're all hanging out with Trump and they're all kissing the ring and doing all these other kinds of things. Will they follow suit now and follow the orders of the DOJ and ban accounts that promote Antifa ideology? That includes people like Hassan Piker, who's a very famous YouTuber who's promoted Antifa, and others. But let's take a look at this from the Post Millennial and their 40 gazillion ads that they have. So, Google admitted that the Biden administration pressured the company to censor content on its platforms and has committed that they will reinstate accounts that were terminated from that platform. And so, in a letter to the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, which we're going to look at in a second, Google's parent company Alphabet stated, senior Biden administration officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach. I hate air quotes, but I got to use them. To Alphabet and pressured the company regarding certain user-generated content related to the cough jab, and that did not violate its policies. While the company continued to develop and enforce its policies independently, the Biden regime officials continued to press the company to remove non-violative user-generated content, like what Catholic Prepper is saying. They just wanted to help people prepare and spread independent news reports. Now, of course, independent news reports means you are not in line with the message. And if you were not in line with the message, then you needed to be booted to the ends of the earth. So according to this letter from the DOJ back to and Jim Jordan, so the Biden administration and Alphabet, the COVID-19 pandemic was unprecedented. Senior Biden officials, including White House officials, conducted repeated and sustained outreach to Alphabet and pressed the company regarding certain user-generated content related to the cough jab that did not violate the policies. And, as Michael is saying, valuable information. What was the name of the doctor? He recently died. The Zelensky. Was it Dr. Zelensky in New York? He had the Zelensky protocol, I believe it is. I know Mike Church did a big thing about it, where he said, listen, if you have COVID, it's ivermectin, vitamin D, and zinc, and if you take that, you can recover from it. And he was just shadow banned into oblivion. Remember the COVID doctors that were coming out and trying to say, listen, COVID's not so deadly. We have ways to get around it. You don't need to take the jab. They were shadow banned and they were pushed off the platforms and they were pretty much, banished to the ends of the earth. As online platforms, including Alphabet, grapple with these decisions, the administration's officials, including Joe Biden himself, President Biden, created a political atmosphere that sought to influence the actions of platforms based on their concerns regarding quote unquote misinformation. Dr. Zev. Okay. I didn't think it was Zelensky. It's something, it was Dr. Zev. You're correct. But this idea that we're fighting over not us, but there's this fighting going over Jimmy Kimmel, and the leftists are talking about tyrannical government and tyrannical policies that forced Zelenko. Thank you, Dr. Zelenko. Zelenko, sorry, not Zelensky, Zelenko. Jimmy Kimmel was banished because of the tyrannical government, and this is fascism. Yet we're seeing from Google's own mouth, this is not from Republicans or from Alex Jones or from, the Daily Wire or Tucker Carlson. Google itself, its parent company, is saying, yeah, Joe Biden and the administration created essentially a toxic atmosphere where they leaned on us pretty hard to censor and to remove content that didn't violate our policies. They didn't necessarily violate our policies, but we were essentially forced by the DOJ and by Joe Biden's regime to censor and get rid of that. Why are they changing their tune now? Because they're trying to cozy up to Trump right now because of Peter, to be completely honest, I think this is a survival method for two reasons. A, right now, Trump has the momentum. He's very popular among the American people, and especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk, the momentum is on the quote unquote side of the Republicans and conservatives. And B, it's survival until 2028. Admitting this is not a big deal because Kamala's already come out and trashed Joe Biden in her book that somebody else wrote for her. And it's actually very okay to come out and trash Joe Biden and that regime. It's very unpopular. They're not. Joey was hoping to get a Jimmy Carter rewrite of his history, and that's not happening. They're all just absolutely kicking this old man while he's down and running the bus over him multiple times. So if Google can get away with blaming Joe Biden for their censorship policies, it gives them an out. We didn't want to do it, but Joe Biden and his administration, they forced us to do it, guys. We didn't want to ban the quote unquote misinformation, even though we believed it. Joe Biden made us do it. It's a very easy out. So it's one of these things that it's a convenient excuse. It's presented itself, and Google and Alphabet, they're not stupid. They may be leftists, but they're not completely stupid. And they see that Joe Biden is an easy target to blame everything on. Oh, it was Joe Biden. We would never censor you guys. That's another thing, Michael, as well. That's right. That's right. These are all very strategic things that are happening right about now. Right? If we throw enough weight and enough blame at Biden, then we get a pass and we get some cover through Trump's administration. And then if, President BBL comes in 2028, then we can go back to censoring people and doing all these other kinds of things. For leftist companies, for tech companies, it's all about surviving the next 3 years. That's really all it is. They're hoping and gambling that, a Democrat comes in, a Democrat, quote unquote, wins the 2028 election, and then they can go back to business as usual. Also, remember, big tech went all in essentially with Peter Thiel and, Larry Ellison and a bunch of others. They went all in with Trump. They raised a lot of money for Trump. So they're in Trump's corner right now as well. So this doesn't shock me that this report has dropped, especially now that it is okay to make this old man right here the brunt of everybody's frustration. Oh, it was Biden. Biden made me do it, man. Biden made me do it. I didn't do it. Biden made me do it, guys. And that's good enough for Trump, because then Trump can say, like, Joe Biden did it. I didn't do it. Joe did it. And most of the population, the big wigs, the big content creators are going to take it and they're going to run with it. And nobody has to question their policies for the next couple years, because they'll say, well, all that bad stuff that was happening, that was only happening during Joe's administration. It happened under Trump, although it kind of did happen under Trump. But, it was Joe Biden's fault. So it is what it is. That's an interesting point, that the H-1Bs have been increased to. There's a little bit of a discrepancy there, because Caroline Leavitt said, well, it's only $100 one time. It's $100 fee, $100,000 fee one time, where other people in the Trump administration are saying, no, it's $100,000 every year if you want to have an H-1B. And the floor I think the floor on the H-1Bs is 150,000 a year. In order to qualify for an H-1B, you have to give them a salary of 150,000, because right now H-1Bs are being filled for like motel managers and gas station attendants and truck drivers and all these low-paying jobs, because you can bring in these people from Southeast Asia, let's say, and they don't ask for sick days. They don't ask for days off. They take whatever you could, because they just don't want to live in India. If you ask most Indians, they just don't want to live in India. And I can say this because my wife knew somebody. Well, when my wife worked up at Nike, it wasn't in her team, but she heard of rumors of other teams that had Indians on them that were like, I don't want to go back to India. I don't want to go there. So it's interesting that all these things are coming about right about now. Yeah, Alphabet is desperate to get on DJT's good side for the next couple years, right? As long as he's in office, and then they'll deal with the next one. Right? These companies they'll deal with the next president when they get there. Right now, it's just trying to survive and stay on Trump's good side. And so that means Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden did everything wrong, and we shouldn't be surprised at this gamesmanship and these politics that are being played right about now.